Alright, so I started the recording. Bitcoin we just talked about not too long ago, so I'm going to avoid that. Pretty much the same idea, right? Where price has just devalued the entire Tesla move, right? As in Tesla announces like, yo, we're gonna add Bitcoin to our balance sheets right here. And well, it's back there, right? So basically market has just kind of like priced that news out of its value. Okay, let's go into some DeFi stuff. All right, so Giza with CRV, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna chart everything on the 4 hour, okay, because I think that's a lot more actionable. Let's actually see. We'll mark out daily levels, but most of the analysis will be on the 4 hour time frame. Okay, so yeah, nothing there, and we're actually gonna use the just the spot chart because it has more data. Okay, so all right, let's start with CRV. So CRV 1, right? So you have the big 3-day order block, right? So 3-day resistance. All right, and then on the daily, this is pretty much what makes sense, right? Because what you're seeing is just multiple pushes into resistance and it getting rejected, right? On the 3-day, you saw like 3 pokes up. On the daily, you'll see like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever, right? Interesting thing to note is that we are grinding up, right? As in we're making higher lows, which just tells you that, all right, the next set of buyers are willing to front run the last set of buyers, right? So some people bought at $1.80, $2 right here, and then now the lowest is like 220, right? And then now the lowest is like 290. So you're seeing that there's interest, right? There's interest in buying this. Where would I buy or place bids? Sorry. Let's go to the 4 hour. Okay, so the 4 hour looks pretty choppy, right? So basically it's trading in a range, and you can mark that out however you want. You can mark it by the close. I know some people do it by wicks. For coins that are very volatile and wicky like this, I actually like taking the closes. They tend to be a little bit less, I guess, I don't want to say manipulated, but manipulated, right? So just off visual, you can kind of see that we're trading at the equilibrium point, so the 50% area. Yeah, I mean, I guess you can get the fib retracement tool, right? Lock it up here, lock it up there, right? And then you can do this, right? Pretty clear. So we're at about the 50%, trading just under it. So where would I place bids? I would place bids below these areas right here, right? So lots of liquidity down here, but I don't anticipate this floor to get taken out, because if this floor gets taken out, then basically the daily structure is destroyed, right? Where we had that gradual grind up, and if it just nukes off the bottom right here, then I mean, that's not very good, right? Because that basically means these buyers are underwater, these guys are probably break even, and the selling pressure is kind of like, think of like dominoes, or like a lot of air inside of a balloon, right? At a certain point, if sell pressure gets too strong, like say this guy sells, which makes this guy sell, which makes this guy sell his shit, and it's almost like a cascading effect, right? So shit that we don't want to see, which is kind of why people call it testing liquidity, right? Where price pushes down to a certain level, and then we see if there are buyers or not, or if there are weak hands that sell, right? Shit like that. We have terms for everything in crypto, right? Like weak hands and diamond hands and lettuce hands. But basically, it's just a matter of liquidity, right? Where is price going, where buyers are willing to buy and sellers are no longer or less present than they were before, right? Because price going up is just a matter of more buyers than sellers. And it's not by the buyers like one buyer and one seller. It's by amount, right? So if one buyer is buying $1 million and one seller is selling $100, price is still gonna go up. Sorry, let me get some more water. My throat is very dry. But yeah, so I would start layering bids around 280. If I'm feeling very aggressive, I could put some at 3, but this would definitely be like a smaller bid, right? Like 10%. Right here might be like, another 15%, and then down here would be like another 15-20%, and then I'd probably just chill there, because you don't ever want to get filled on like a full position, right? Usually that means you fucked up, right? So ideally you should only get like a couple fills. Like you should only be getting like maybe 30-40% of your optimal area filled. Why? Because it's your optimal area, right? Like it wouldn't be optimal if you fucking bought into it and it just kept dumping, right? So yeah, so again, $3 maybe a little bit, 280 a little bit more, and maybe 255 area down to 237, right? The last amount. And I probably wouldn't want to bid unless it's like a sweep of these lows, but we close up very, very strong. Okay, so that's CRV. Next we have Litecoin. Okay, I will go ahead and do Litecoin. It's not a DeFi, but fuck it. All right, so again, let's go weekly levels, right? Because this one has a lot of price action. So this, oh my lord, it's painful. Wow, this bear market was painful. But okay, so we see price is kind of just retesting the prior highs, right? Nothing that screams super bearish on the weekly, right? But that's because, one, lower time frames make up higher time frames. Okay, so just because it doesn't look bearish on the weekly does not mean that it doesn't look bearish, right? It could look like shit on the 4-hour, the 12-hour, the daily. It just hasn't yet translated into the weekly chart. Okay, so make sure you guys are aware that it's not the other way around. Like, you don't look at this weekly and go, okay, I have to buy right now. No, like, the weekly should present an opportunity for you, right? And then you go onto lower time frames to look for an entry or an exit, whichever way you're trying to trade, right? But yeah, so weekly retest, right? That's 3-day showing pretty much the same thing. Key thing to note, the way this sold down. Okay, so the way this sold down, this is going to tell you that we've had, collectively speaking, 1, 2, 3, like 3 1/3 red candles, right? Which means on the 3-day, we pretty much had 10 days of just rejection, right? Push up, rejection, push up, rejection, and continuation down. So from this area, you're not really looking to knife catch, right? Because why? Not many buyers are stepping in, but sellers are clearly stepping in, right? Where you see 1, 2, and this is a continuation down right here. This is a pretty ugly candle right now. Okay, we have 2 days left, so there's still a lot of things that could happen. But from a high level point of view, this looks like, it doesn't look good. It just doesn't look good, right? Do I think we're overdue for like some type of relief? Yes. The problem is we're just not getting it, right? It's dangerous to short here, which is why this stream is not about shorting. This stream is about finding dips and areas where the dips are likely to be, I guess, like good buys, right? So that's what we're looking for here. That's the objective. Just because we think it's going down doesn't mean we have to short it, because it's not necessarily the best play right now. Obviously, the best play would have been, right, like this, right? A top formation, right? SFP took the highs, closed below, right? This is a fucking ugly candle too. This candle right here pretty much should have told everybody that, like, all right, we probably shouldn't, long too much. And then we got a little bounce right here. This would have been a good area to short, like a high percentage short, right into resistance. Okay. Obviously we didn't short, hindsight being 2020. It's a bull market, things don't make sense. Like, why short? I get it. That makes complete sense. Yeah, heck, you can even short this candle right here, right? But that being said, we should at least, if you're looking for shorts, wait for a bounce. Okay, and we just haven't really gotten a reasonable bounce that like gives you an area where it makes sense to take off. I mean, we got one right here, but not unlike Bitcoin and stuff. Okay, so now let's go to the 4 hour. All right, a lot to dissect here. Bid wise, I would say, and I'm being very I guess I'm being very conservative here, but I would say this area, this little gap right here, would be your optimal entry. Okay, and the reason for that is it's acted as support and resistance since April. Well, technically, if we go farther back, maybe even longer, right? So like pretty much this entire year, it's acted as support and resistance. So if we get down here, I anticipate this area to at least give a reaction. Why? Because it has in the past, right? And we're basically using information that we've seen to develop some type of strategy for the future. So if that's the case, this would be where I really want to bid Litecoin. Don't really want to knife catch. This isn't a bad area, right? But I would go small. Like, let me mark out the area. So it would be like 265 area. You could get away with some bids if we go that low, maybe like 10-15%, and then the remainder of your bids down in like the 250 to 240 area. Okay. I want to say that if we're still in a bull market, the worst is probably over for alts, at least, because alts do be showing a lot of strength lately, and it's good for us, right? People who like trading alts. But if you're a Bitcoin person, right, someone who's like a Michael Saylor or someone who's like an investment guy, this is looking pretty bad. Okay, so all right, next coin is XLM. That's also not a DeFi, but I'm a nice guy, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do it anyway. So this looks like shit, unironically. All right, so these were our highs, right? Daily, okay. You can call this a double top if you want, right? A top, a retrace, a buyback. This is on the daily, so this takes place over the course of like a week. Yeah, like a week or so. It'll be more obvious on the 4 hour, right? So you see the highs, you see a clear retracement, right? Because I don't like calling these double tops, because you need a retracement, but you also need time, right? The double tops are also like wishy-washy to trade, because it's very difficult to know when it's like, all right, is this a top, or is this just like, gonna blow off and continue upwards? So kind of difficult to trade really, but when you see things like this, you can use it, you know, to look for shorts later on, because like, look, this confirms a double top right here, right? And then you pretty much just see downside. So we are approaching support though. Key areas I'm looking at on the 4-hour neckline. Okay. So this area right here, notice that XLM is very wicky. So it's like, it has a lot of slippage almost, right? Where if you market sell, the liquidity is not really there. So you see a lot of upside and downside wicks. Try to be those people that bid the wicks. The reason for that is because usually the wicks are people who are trading out of necessity, right? As in like, fuck me, my stop loss hit, or fuck me, I'm about to get liquidated, I need to get the fuck out. And it's kind of like a panic move, right? They're trading out of necessity. They have to trade because their risk of ruin is very imminent, and you want to be there to capitalize on their version of max pain, right? Max pain in the market is just where you pretty much have the risk of ruin, right? And that's as close as you're gonna get. So usually when you see these wicks, usually it's people being forced to trade. Nobody wants to be the top of the wick. Nobody wants to fucking get slipped like 2%, 3%, right? But it happens. So anyway, this is probably where I want to bid, around 55 cents, 55, 57 cents. And could we get that? Maybe. Could we also bounce up here? Yes, but this looks like a clusterfuck. I don't know if even if we bounce, we would make it up and, you know, through this huge area of participation right here. Lots of people participated in this area. Price traded in here for a while, okay? But since we broke down from this cluster, I don't anticipate us just flying right through it. That just kind of doesn't make sense. Like, there's a lot of people that would be looking to sell. Next up is NKN. No idea what that coin does, but let's do it anyway. All right. I'll be honest with you. This looks like it's gonna die. And the reason for that is here, actually. If I invert the chart for you, does that look like it's gonna go this way or this way? Like, just, you know, no biases. Let's say you're a bull, you see this chart, you pretty much just assume like, all right, it's probably gonna go up here, right? It's probably gonna go like 24 cents or something. Maybe you'll start taking profit like right here, around 40 cents, right? Because you're seeing higher lows, right? Ooh, look at that wick. Oh, price is being bought up. Oh, look, it's hinting at a breakout, right? So, doesn't look too good. I would place my my bids at 40 and 25, right? So where people are probably gonna look to close out their longs. Close out their shorts. This is an inverse chart, my bad. But yeah. Okay. Next up is Ruin. So Ruin. I like Ruin. Oh, nice. I had a chart right here. Oh, very nice. Oh yeah, it only went up like a bajillion %. Very nice. Okay. Cool. So this chart's fucking ridiculous. Basically, it's an up only coin. Okay, not too much TA that I can do on this, besides the fact that, well, it's building up into a parabolic curve right there, right? So ideally, we shouldn't be trading below, I guess, like 16 bucks around here, right? Because we're flipping level to level. So if we're going to continue up, I don't anticipate us to break the curve and trade like down here, right? So with that being said, I would place my bids probably in this little cluster right here, right? In this little consolidation. Oops, didn't mean highlight. So like in here, right? So just spread your bids in this consolidation area. If we get a wick down or some type of move down, this could be a fake out, into more consolidation. If we lose this area, like we start closing multiple candles below like 15 bucks or so, we're fucked. Okay, that just means like the little, I guess I can't even call it steady growth. It's pretty much fucking parabolic. Like on low time frames, like look at this shit. Let's go. Like Jesus Christ, here. Like it's up only. It's literally just going up. And I'm sure they have great fundamentals to support this, because why the fuck would it just keep going up like this if it didn't, right? So Rune, that's where I'd bid. Doesn't look too bad. High time frame levels look very solid. I would probably buy every pullback possible. Why? Because it's an up only coin. I have no idea what the fuck it really does. Okay, I don't think anybody does besides maybe Rookie, and even then I think he cares about the money more than the actual coin itself. So next is Ave. All right, getting into more DeFi shit, what I wanted to do. All right, so this chart's from a long time ago, but these levels are still valid per se. They just I just don't think they're gonna go down here, so I'm gonna go ahead and delete them. You know what? I'll leave it. In case there's some analysis that, you know, in case it does fall through here, I want to have levels marked from before that I can work off of. But daily doesn't look too bad. Looks like it's a decent retest right here, but let's see what we get on the lower time frames, because yeah, kind of difficult. Maybe I'd get some at 581, but I'd really look for some around 500s. So 500 to 520 something right here. So down here, this would be the aggressive pullback play, where it's like, you know, you really just want to get in, you're in the medium time frame, and you can kind of, you know, keep adding lower. But it's definitely one of those entries that wouldn't make me too happy. This one right here, like if I got 582, that's cool, you know, like if it bounces, that's nice, but I want this one right here. Like I want this neckline, okay, which is in case anyone's not on the stream, it's 520 to 530. I think it can wick down to like 500 if anything, but yeah. Okay, comp is next. So hop onto the daily. Okay, now a simple trick I do is this. Okay, so when you flip it like this, kind of, I mean, for me it's a lot easier, but you know, for you it might be a little bit easier for you to just kind of look at levels, because we're so long biased, right? We've had a year plus of just long setups where shorts are cool, but they're not, you know, favorable. And we've been longing for a year. And yes, you can switch your bias and whatnot, but it's like saying, all right, if you're playing a sport, let's say basketball, and for a whole year, all you do is shoot jump shots. You've only taken jump shots. Well, guess what? You know, your layups are going to be a little rusty, right? Maybe your passing is going to be a little rusty. Maybe your ball handling or whatever for your dribbling for basketball is going to be a little rusty, right? So something that you can do, thank God for inverse charts, is that you can turn it into, using the same metaphor, a jump shot, right? So everything turns into a jump shot, and suddenly it's very easy, right? Like ideally, your number one area that you'd want to buy for compound, whatever, is like 510 to like 530, right? That's on the daily chart, and you can start getting aggressive right here, right? I mean, if the market were to bounce, I guess this is a good area to buy, but ideally you'd want your bids a little bit lower, so around 530, 500, around there. Let's look on the 4 hour. Okay, yeah, when you see this, what does it kind of look like? You know, it literally looks like a bottom formation, right? Like if you're longing, like I think you would want to long these areas right here, right? Doesn't make sense to short here, which is why we're not looking for shorts, right? But you want to at least, you know, get some exposure up here, because yeah, I guess it could always nuke down to zero, right? You always run that risk when you're trading. Like, yes, you could wake up one day and Bitcoin gets hacked, or this project gets rugged, but that's the risk that I guess everybody has to take if they're gonna expose themselves to the market, right? Like that's just kind of the name of the game. So again, probably up here around 550 to 515, around there. Again, very wiki chart, so have your areas kind of spread out. Like, it doesn't have to be formally in this box, but yeah. And you can even go aggressive, remember, like these areas that we're talking about. But if you're gonna go aggressive, you have to understand that there's a good chance you're gonna be underwater. That's just the price you pay for being aggressive, right? Similar to sports. Say there's a boxer and he's super aggressive, like super aggressive. Well, he's taking more risk, right? And that usually means he's either gonna get the knockout or he's gonna get knocked out. And that's kind of the same idea that you're playing with when it comes to trading, right? You can take the conservative entries and whatnot, and you're pretty safe. You're doing work, and you're still getting yourself on the board. Or you can be more aggressive, and you can get the flashy entries, and if luck is on your side, you really get that highlight, like, wow, you fucking nailed the bottom. You're amazing. Blah 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 blah. When it comes to trading, longevity and consistency is everything. So I always preach that you should be conservative when it comes to your entries, because most people are more likely to over risk than they are to under risk. So that's kind of like a general rule that you should have when it comes to trading. Whereas, with sports or something, like, it might be a little different. But yeah, anyway, that's it for comp. What the fuck was next? XRP. I see XRP. Okay. And I'm also gonna cut this off here. So AVAX, or not here, but like, so the last one I'm gonna do is Avax, which is like 10 coins from now. So yeah, because I just don't want to get stuck charting coins all day and not actually placing my bids, because that's not good. So yeah. Let's see. Okay, so I removed all the drawings. Let's see. XRP, surprisingly, for whatever reason, has been doing really well. Like, I don't know if they have some type of like news event, or if Brad beat the SEC or something. Like, I have no fucking idea. But if you're a trend line trader, I mean, pretty clean retest right here. You can pop open some MAs, and I'm sure they'll correlate a little bit, because that's just kind of how the market works. But okay, so daily levels that we're looking at, it should hold this level. Like, no matter what, it should hold this level. Okay, we lose this, that probably means the entire market is a little fucked. I don't know how I feel about Ripple. I think it's gonna go up, but at the same time, I don't think it's a coin that really is friendly to a lot of traders, right? Where sometimes you enter and it just doesn't do anything. And when it does, it tends to do things in a very explosive fashion. So if you didn't get in from before, it's kind of difficult to, find a level that you want to buy it at without a retrace. And XRP does this thing where it's like 10% days only. Like, it doesn't do like, oh, here's a nice 5% move or something. Like, it always just has these crazy wicks. Like, look at this shit. Like, what the fuck are all these wicks? Like, if you're trading this on leverage, and these are daily candles, so you could pretty much like enter the top and get liquidated by the end of the night. Like, look at this shit. 16%. Like, if you were at the top of this and you were anywhere over 5x leverage, you're pretty much liquidated. That's fucking insane. But anyway, levels I'd be looking for XRP. This is a very nice intra range level, which is here. I'll use the order block so it's a little bit more obvious, and I'll zoom in a little bit. So basically this area, so this would be the range, right? So if you have like the highs, the lows, whatever, right? So this is like the intra range support where you have some type of level where price is respecting it, right? So you see this flipped into support, acts as support, deviates under, sweeps the lows, right? Sweeps the lows, boom, right here, sends it up. So right now this is a retest. I really don't like trading trend lines because you have to put trend lines into context, right? A trend line retest that makes like a lower high, right, is not necessarily always the best trade. So what I'm saying is you have a high, you have a lower high, and you have a lower high, right? So ideally we would have broken up here and then retested and then up, right? And this would give a better entry than forming the lower high, retesting trend line, and price isn't even being bought up. So that's what really worries me with a lot of this. That's why I'm personally not bidding it. And in hindsight being 2020, if it pumps from here, it's gonna look very obvious, right? But in the moment, the only information you have is that we don't have as much buyers as the last high. Price is pushing down onto what should be support, but there are no buyers. Okay, or I shouldn't say there's no buyers, but there's not, it doesn't look like buyers want to really buy here. Okay, so this area would be a decent area to start your position, and then if price goes down here, this is where I would optimally want to bid. Okay, mainly because if it falls under like 90 cents, then I guess we're fucked. And I would imagine that if it does, that means the whole market is correcting, or there's some really bad SEC news that's coming out, because the markets are so tightly correlated that it doesn't make sense for one asset to be an outlier to the downside without some type of bad news. And the opposite is also true, right? Like for Matic to run 160x since January, there had to be some type of narrative or fundamental in play, right? There was a rebrand, there's layer 2 narratives, right? There's Matic staking that's going on, there's farms, there's yielding, there's a lot of different things that, I guess give it a reason to pump. Ripple, I'm not sure what the reason is. I haven't checked my feed for it, I haven't looked, I don't see anything, so yeah. Anyway, next one is Rune. I already did that, so principal, just take a look at that later. Matic, speaking of Matic, yeah, so daily, not too much to work with, right? Because it's just been an up only coin for the last couple days. I anticipate that when Matic finds a bottom, as in like if it touches this area like 170, 180, I think the entire alt market bottoms, because usually the strongest coin is a very good indicator of market, of the alt market strength, right? So let's say price reaches down here, right? And this is like a correlation kind of analysis that you can do. It's not something that is really taught in a book, or usually people who trade like this tend to be quants because they have the data to justify it. But a simple thing that you can do, so we know Matic has been pretty much like the coin of the week, right, or whatever, and the same way with Doge was the last couple weeks leading into Elon's SNL, right, where like when you saw Doge pump, you probably knew that the market was going to start recovering, right? So the same thing could be applied here. So when Matic starts to recover, you could probably assume that the rest of the market is going to recover as well, albeit because it is the strongest or one of the strongest alts on Binance, you would anticipate it to, I guess, recover first, right? And have some type of area where it's very obvious that price will bounce, right? Like I anticipate this to hold. Like, in fact, I might go ape some Matic. Okay, this should hold. Why? Incredibly bullish coin, hits support. I mean, it's hard not to punt at least a little, right? Yeah, but ultimately, I think I would look for most of my bids down here. These would kind of just be scalps where you get like a relief bounce, and then it, like something like that, which ironically would shape out to be like a head and shoulders, right? So who knows? I play things level to level. Like, I don't get paid for this part of the trade, right? So I don't really get paid for this. Like, I only get paid for this, okay? Because once it gets here, I'm probably gonna get out. I'll reevaluate what the level is doing. Like, are we rejecting? What does the lower time frames look like? And then maybe I'll punt a short, right? Yeah, so that's Matic. Let's see. Next is SNX. And we're using the Binance chart. You can use this on the futures chart too. I'm just using the Binance chart for more chart history. But okay, all right. So SNX to me kind of looks like Avax in a sense where it looks like there's a lot of reaccumulation going on. The reason for that is you see this base that's been forming right into a support level. So you see this area where it consolidated before it started going just absolutely nuts right here. So this slow grind up and then just vertical, right? I like using areas like this to guide accumulation and distribution, right? When price reverses from key areas like this was where price was accumulating before, right? Before it went up. So by definition, if this is where price was just hanging out, consolidating, and people were getting their coins, aka accumulation, right, before it went to all-time highs, reaccumulation should ideally visit the accumulation area, right? Like, it's reaccumulating, like accumulated, reaccumulated, right? Very simple. And then you're seeing the reaction, right? It's not nuking through. Oops. When price just nukes through, like if we just boop boop like that, right? If we did right here, all right, that's probably your area to sell, right? Because all these people who accumulated are now underwater, right? So incentive to sell is a lot higher, right? So you look for shorts right here. But the way that this is working out, where you form a base, right? You consolidate whatever, chop, taps the prior accumulation area, right? And then starts moving up. So instead of lower lows, right? Low, lower low, lower low, we have a higher low. Okay, that's a reaction that you want to see when price reaches the reaccumulation area. Because if price just goes down, like, there's nobody accumulating, right? Because accumulating means buying, and if price is going down, that means there's more selling. And I know most of you guys already know that, but I just have to explain it because there's bound to be 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 people who, are newer to the group and, might not be in the know as you guys are. So, yeah. So right here, decent retest of this area. Have you noticed that all DeFi coins look a lot better than shit like XRP or Litecoin or whatever, all those other non-DeFi coins that we were charting up there. Okay, so that's something to note, right? Like where the market basically is telling you what coins people are very interested in, their charts look better, their price action is cleaner. Those are the coins that you should be focusing on. Okay, and I know it's frustrating because the trend changes so often, right? Just last week it was all fossil coins, so like you're in your XRPs, you're in your Litecoins, you're in your XLMs, and suddenly this week DeFi wakes up and it's like, yo, my Ethereum Classic is not doing very well, my Ripple is literally just dying, right? So it's one of those things where you have to adapt pretty quickly, and I know it kind of sucks because it's like, oh, you know, I just bought Ripple and then now everything else is pumping, and that's kind of just the name of the game, you know, like if you're not first, you're probably last. So decent area to actually buy. So DeFi coins right now showing a lot of strength, right? So this would be where I would place the optimal bids, right? Where you get like a crazy wick down but then it bounces up, right? Sorry, that's the wrong tool. It's like it bounces down and just goes up, preferably in one candle, you know, like this, or, you know, where is it? Like this right here, where it just taps the lows, bounces right up. But yeah, overall, not a bad area. We have, did I do AVE? I don't remember if I did AVE. Let's find out. I did AVE. All right. Rune I did. Sol. See, Sol kind of. My drawings always make me laugh. All right. Sol, similar to SNX that we just charted, right? Where you had the highs. We broke above it today. Well, not today, but yesterday. But it's still today because of how the market works. So this is where I would be bidding. Reason for that, reason why I'm not really aiming down here is because I think coins like Solana have been so goddamn strong that if it went down here, I want to say that there's a good chance we're fucked. Like, I'd be too scared to place a bid right here. You know, realistically speaking, I would pull these bids. Why? You would have retraced 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up candles. Well, actually this one's not an up candle, it's like a indecisive candle. But I want to say that like this low shouldn't be invalidated, right? We broke through a very key level. We made an all-time high this candle, right? That's different from SNX where we didn't make an all-time high. Solana just made an all-time high. It shouldn't reverse the entire candle. That's just my opinion. That would signal to me that, well, this whole thing might be like some type of deviation and we go down. Kind of like the Coinbase listing, you know, where Bitcoin like raised above the highs and then it just kind of shat down like all the way down here. That could happen, but again, you can't assume breakdowns of levels if you're trading on like the 4 hour or the daily, right? If you're trading on the weekly, I guess, you know, but it's very difficult to sit here and call for, you know, $28 Solana when you have all-time high candle that's not over, you know, that's not overtaken, right? You have this area as support that's not even close to being tapped. This is 50% away or like 40% away, right? So calling it to go all the way down here, which is 50% away, I don't know. That doesn't look right. But yeah, so key area that I would bid for Solana around here. And right here, I guess you have balls of steel, but yeah. Okay, sushi. I think sushi's been doing pretty well too. So a lot of coins are breaking out of their or trying at least to break out of their accumulation area. So one of my favorite setups, and this is kind of off topic, is when coins do this. So they print some type of, you know, bullish pattern right here, right? Whatever, right? like a breakup, and then it breaks down, your best bet always just under, like, this is the next area of liquidity, that little like patch of liquidity before it started printing this like up movement thing, before the expansion, right? Literally one of my favorite setups. And this setup, I feel sorry for whoever traded this, because this looks really fucked. You know, this kind of reminds me of the Solana chart that we were just looking at. Again, this is super fucked. Like, this isn't what you would expect, right? You wouldn't look at this and say, well, sushi just made an all-time high, time to short it down to $10. Like, that doesn't make sense. So this is like one of those lower probability plays that could turn out well, right? This is what you're seeing with Solana right now, where you made the all-time high, you're retesting this area, and this is almost always a good buy, right? You're retesting support after breaking all-time highs. More often than not, I would say you're going to be right. I think this had to do more with the overall market conditions than just sushi. But again, we're gonna, you know, we're retesting some key areas as support. Not super interested in sushi compared to everything else, but I would place bids again at the bottom of this monstrous daily candle, right? If this entire daily candle gets reversed, your next bids are probably going to be down here, right? Because I mean, there's no really key areas of liquidity after that. Like, you can get away with something like this, you know, where it's like you had some wicks into this area, a bounce and a reclaim. You can get away with something like this, and this would probably be like a short-term long, you know. But yeah. HTR, I don't even know what that is. Hather, this is on KuCoin. I don't like trading things on KuCoin, not because TA doesn't work on them, but it's just the market environment is just completely different. Like, I have no idea what those coins do, what the trend is. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell you that this looks like distribution. You have right, a string of pushes to the top side, and they all get reverted, right? So this pump right here, completely reverted. This pump right here, completely reverted. This pump right here, I mean, kind of, I guess not completely reverted, but yeah. So when you see big candles up, and then the next candles just all get sold into, and it reverts the entire move, very key signs of distribution, right? Where basically people are, you guessed it, looking to sell, right? That's what distribution is. It's just a lot of selling, right? It's selling at the top, and that's why you kind of see a similar pattern. Like, it's easy to, like, you know, go on the Wyckoff chart and look at distribution and be like, okay, it looks like that, so it has to be distribution. Well, no, distribution also tends to look like reaccumulation, right? And you kind of don't know until the very end. Key takeaways: high volume on the sells, right? Low volume was on the push up, and this one's kind of confirmed, so I guess it's kind of cheating. But I mean, we already kind of broke the base, and we're going into, you know, this area again as potentially resistance. So I don't even know if you can leverage trade this, but I don't know if I would long here. If you're looking for longs, reclaim of this area or down here, which would place us like right here. And I'm assuming KuCoin is not that liquid, so, you know, put your bids where wicks are. So like maybe even down here, right? So like 51 cents might be a good buy. But I don't know what this project does. I don't even know if it's DeFi, so be very careful. Okay. Let's see, we have a couple more. We have RSR. Oh my lord, RSR looks like shit. Wow, that's that chart would fucking give me nightmares. Yeah, pretty much the same analysis as I would have for Hathor that we just went over, where you get the grinds up, but every time it pushes up, completely sold into, completely sold into, completely sold into. So I would not be surprised if we see RSR back down to like 4.5, 5 cents. Aggressive bids, I guess you can place right here around this area, but yeah, like 5.2 cents. Easy long would be above 6.6, so something like that, would not be too bad. But I wouldn't long here, like it just doesn't really make sense. You're basically hoping and praying that this goes up through resistance. And I have a really I guess I have a very strict take on it, but I just never buy into resistance, because yes, it works sometimes, but the one time it doesn't work, where the fuck do you place your stop loss? Like, if you long this, where the fuck would you put your stop loss? Like, I mean, I wouldn't know, because like if it goes down here, you're very close to support. Like, I don't know if the R&R makes sense for you to close out your position like right here, or I mean, I like, is your stop loss right here? I mean, if that's the case, I mean, support is literally right here. So it makes more sense to buy support, because then, you can kind of just get out for marginal losses when you are wrong. But yeah, buying resistance and praying is, generally speaking, not a good idea unless you have some type of edge in your analysis, in a sense where it's like, yo, I knew Elon Musk was gonna say this, or I knew good news was coming out because I talked to the devs, so I don't mind buying resistance. Or I know that I'm a big whale and this coin has like $1 million in liquidity, so I can kind of control the chart. Cool, more power to you. But in general, you're not too far off from a long right here. You're like 6-7% from a safe long, right? And then if we start closing below this area, you have your stop loss, and it's easier to work your positions around that. But yeah, and if you're hodling, I guess that's a totally different rule set. I have no idea. All right, let's do Phantom. Nice. This is the only green candle I've seen today. I mean, sorry, by today I mean like while doing this stream. I don't think I've seen another green candle, so I guess Phantom's doing something right. I mean, I still wouldn't long into this, but if you were going to long, I would long this area. So I would place bids around 65 down to 60 cents. Spread that out, but I mean, it is pushing back into resistance, right? So this was the close of the down candle, right? So around 77 was the close. We haven't really retested that area as resistance, so maybe this is a front run. I have no idea, but it could be a moving average too. The way this looks, it could be a moving average thing. So, but yeah, so if you're placing bids, I think this area is key. If it falls back into this reaccumulation area, I would target the bottom, and I would be very patient as well, because these take time to play out. You can always play the lower time frame moves in between, but generally speaking, daily moves takes days to play out, right? So yeah, be patient. Next up is DOT. So DOT, I mean, I wouldn't say it looks great, but it doesn't look terrible either. You know, it's one of those. Here, I'll kind of mark out so you can kind of see what I'm looking at. So this was the base, right? So basically, price has been bouncing off this area. So this has capped the base of price. Okay, so price hasn't really ventured too far below 26. My only issue with this is that I feel like there's 1,000,001 better coins that you can long, and this just looks like it's still consolidating. You know, it's not bullish and it's not bearish. I wouldn't really place heavy bids on this one because opportunity cost is a real thing. I know it's done well, you know, so is every alt though, but I mean, you want to only be in coins that are the strongest, right? Like you don't really want to be putting your capital in something that moves 5% when everything else is moving like 15%. Like that's almost as bad as losing money, you know? Like, I mean, I guess you can cope and be like, yo, you know, I still made money, whatever, but opportunity cost is a very real thing. I just don't think DOT, at least yet, is looking like it's gonna explode up. But with that being said, look for key swing points to long. So if it sweeps 34, I anticipate that to be a good long. I don't think it tests this level, and I've said that for pretty much every alt. I don't think it reaches the bottom of this again. But if Bitcoin dies, which, I mean, I might take a look at Bitcoin in 1 second just to see, but yeah, so I'd look for 34, and optimal bids would be under 29 bucks. But again, that I don't think we're gonna get the 29, and it is fine for you to enter something with like 20% of your size and only get filled for 20%, and like 50% of your bids didn't get hit. You know what? That's a good problem to have, because that means it tapped your entry and went up. Okay, so it's not the worst problem to have. Okay, you're making money, you're just not making as much as you would if you had a full stack or a full size. Let me quickly look at Bitcoin, see what's going on. It still looks like doo-doo. Okay, all right. How about the hourly? Looks better. I anticipate 42.6 to be like a short, but it might even, if we don't even hit 42k, that's really bearish. Like if this gets front ran and sold into like that, very bad, and we'll probably see 38. So yeah. Okay, let's see what is next. KSM. Alright, so starting on the daily, I mean, KSM doesn't look bad. And again, KSM is part of the DOT ecosystem. It's almost like a leveraged DOT. The way it moves, it's like DOT but on steroids. And that, again, kind of fits the narrative of like, hey, there are better alts that you can long if you are bullish on DOT, right? Alts with clearer price action, with higher return on investments, and, you know, just generally speaking, a better option for you to trade. The only reason I could see someone opting into DOT as well is because KSM doesn't have enough liquidity for them, so they have to kind of hedge it with the mother of the ecosystem, right? So I don't know if KSM is DeFi, but it sure is acting like it. So consolidation above prior all-time highs. Not a bad area to buy, if I'm being honest with you. If you're going for the lucky bids, I would aim somewhere in this area. So from here over to like here, right? So like 450 to 475 would be like, wow, you got so lucky, you bought the dip, you know. Also coincides with the sweep of these lows, but that's just kind of how TA works, you know, where it's like you have multiple levels, multiple ways of analyzing price action, and it all tends to point you towards the same direction, right? I mean, if done correctly, you know. But yeah. So KSM 450 to 475 is a buy, and you can probably get away with starting a small position right here. So like 520, 550 would not be a bad area to start along, but I'm looking down here because when Bitcoin is looking shitty, you want to aim for home runs on your alts, as in like you want to get that entry where when you enter, if you want, you can sell it for profit immediately, or you can even sit on it overnight because you're so comfy on your entry. That's really what you want on alts. You don't want to be in a position where you enter and you kind of have to sit there and pray a little bit and be like, oh, you know, I'm almost above water, or like, you know, price is just hovering at my entry, because that tells you that you didn't have an optimal entry, right? Because if price is sitting at your entry for an extended period of time, that means there aren't many buyers, or people have already bought, but price is stuck there, which means you didn't get the optimal entry. Okay, so optimal entry for me is probably down there, and if, you know, we lose that area, I probably need to get the fuck out, because that would have just completely retraced this entire up move, right? So say you enter right there and you have your stop like underneath this area, that's a 10% stop, which means if you want to risk like 1% of your account, you can only enter with 10%, right? So quick maths. Okay, so that's KSM. I believe we did sushi, we did Sol, we'll do FTT. Let's see. Let's look on weekly. Oh my god. So this is worrisome. This kind of reminds me of kind of how the Bitcoin, was it Bitcoin or Ethereum? Hold on. Let me see. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of how the Bitcoin chart looked. Okay, so where you just had a slow, steady grind up, and I guess I can't call it slow, but yeah. So, and then you kind of break the trend on high time frame level. Obviously, we have 4 days, so this could just be, you know, like a sweep under and it closes up. Who knows? But we'll go on the daily for a little bit more detail. Okay. So this doesn't look that good to me. This looks like it kind of lost its trend. This could just be, you know, because maybe exchange tokens have already pumped enough, and that was their little mini cycle that they had. Could be a lot of reasons, right? But the same could also kind of be said about bearish dumps. Like this might have been the bearish dump, right? And we get a little bounce from up here, because not everything goes down in a straight line. Just because, oh, you know, exchange tokens have topped and, you know, maybe that's it for their cycle, doesn't mean it fucking goes like this. You know, it doesn't mean it just nukes down completely, but it'll probably do something like this, right? If we are dying, right? So this is probably where I would want to bid. I don't think we're gonna get down here. I really don't think so. But lots of levels to build positions on FTT. Why? Because literally it gave retests on every like move up, right? So move up, retest, move up, retest, move up, retest, move up, potentially another retest. But key thing to note is that this move, and this move are all different from this move. And what's the difference? The point of acceleration, right? So decent gains, very good gains, right? And then suddenly the like price just fucking like limp dicked, right? Where price just didn't really move up too much from the breakout. It kind of just swept the highs and it went down, right? So very very important to note how different the acceleration and the momentum of the trend is going, right? And obviously when you saw that, all right, well, momentum seems like it's lacking a little bit, boom, right? Because momentum is just a nice little word to describe how many buyers are there and how many sellers, right? If there's a fuck ton of buyers relative to sellers, momentum is going to be up, right? And if there's, like a fuck ton of sellers, then momentum starts trailing off. And that's what you're seeing here. And right here is where sellers overtake buyers. Okay. Simple economics, nothing too crazy. But yeah, so FTT, this area is where I bid for a small bounce. And then this would be where I would I'm building a swing long or some shit. Okay. I doubt we're going to get this. And I know I've been saying that every fucking coin, but I doubt we're going to get this. Because if we do, I would like to say that there's a good chance the bull market might be over. But yeah. All right. So we have a couple more. Doge, Link, and Badger. Okay. Doge. Man, I like Doge, and at the same time, I don't. The reason I like Doge is because Elon will shield that shit, and that almost supersedes technical analysis, right? Overall, is this a good place to buy? Yeah, but the one thing that's really worried me is that the 28% wallet has been distributing, right? And I don't know. And with how unfavorable Elon is to the trading community right now, right? It just doesn't seem like his project. I know it's not his project, but he's kind of like the face of Doge, right? Like when you say Doge now, you think of Elon Musk, even though he's in no way a developer for Doge or the creator even. People just associate Elon and Doge together, and negative sentiment towards Elon probably gets reflected in Doge, and vice versa, right? Where when Elon was like, I'm gonna go on SNL, and then people are like, oh yeah, he's gonna shill crypto and Dogecoin and everything's gonna go up. Cool. Now it's like whenever he opens his mouth, people are like, oh fuck. So that's gonna be reflected in the price, I think. That's my take on it. But if you're looking to buy, this isn't too bad of an area for a bounce. Yeah, I'm a little torn on Doge because as good as I think it can do, there's just Elon's kind of like a wild card, and when you depend on one person to, I guess, pump your bags, you get the scenario where they don't pump your bags, and you end up holding something that's done like 1,000x from the bottom. So that's always something to consider. But yeah, so Doge, worst case scenario, I bid here. I'm sorry, not worst case scenario. I bid here, and worst case scenario, I bid at like 20 something cents. But again, we already closed out of our Doge because I just don't like what we're looking at, and I mean, good thing we did, because it went from 47 down to 43. So yeah, fuck Doge for now. Let's see. You said Link. Ooh, I hate this coin. I held this coin for like 3 months, paid a fuck ton of funding, and it didn't pump until a month after I left. Ooh, I fucking hate this coin, bro. I hate this coin so much. I fucking hate this coin. Alright. It doesn't look bad though. As biased as I want to be, it doesn't look too bad. Like, it doesn't look awful. Relative to some of the awful charts that we've seen earlier, it does not look as bad. Yeah, so major consolidation area right here, right? I don't think we're ever going to see 23 for a while. Reason for that is, well, we already consolidated down here. Like, if anything, this should have been the area where if you're a buyer, you bought, right? You had fucking 2 months to buy it. So, yeah. So as it taps this area, I think this is a decent buy. I do think Link is a good buy around this area, yeah. Because this candle right here, this candle was a retest of this like the top of this accumulation area, right? So I don't think we're gonna test it twice in 2 days. So anywhere in this little 40 to 37, yeah, like 40 to 37 bucks is where I would look to buy. So this would be in the upper end of it, 39.40. So maybe you'd start with like a 15%, 20% of your desired position. But yeah. Disclaimer, I fucking hate this coin and I don't want to ever long it again. I will never attend a Chainlink panel or expo or anything that Sergey endorses. Okay, never. Not that it's his fault, not even that it's Chainlink's fault. It's just too painful. It's just too painful. So that's Link. Badger. Let's see, Badger. I don't know what the fuck that is. Oh! Don't ever fucking trade. Oh my god. Okay. Yo, my man COTG, Cot G. Don't long this. Just don't long this right now. Just I don't know where I would not put bids. Okay, only time I would even think of bidding this is if it like did something like that, you know, like, sorry, let me adjust that, like that, you know, where it's like it retests this level after it reclaims it, right? And then I target maybe like right here, so not even 40, maybe like 38 at most. This is obviously level to level, but wow, yeah, don't place bids on anything that's about to break price discovery to the downside. Oh my god. Oh my, I mean, there has to be more price action on this, right? There has to be. There's no way that a chart could look this ugly despite like the market doing very well the last day, right? Like today, I think everything was in green, but wow, Badger just actually, you know what? Let me look. Is that on OKEX? Is this maybe? Oh, here we go. All right, we got it. We have to use the FTX chart. Okay, all right. I take back what I said. Sorry, I thought Binance had the most price action on Badger. I was wrong. So, all right, cool. I was freaking out. I was like, yo, where would you know? Like, you would just not place bids on this, you know? I was about to fucking call COTG on the phone or something. I don't have his number, but wow, that's ooh. I mean, even now it doesn't look the greatest. There are, you know, areas that do have some consolidation. Sorry, I'm using the 4 hour and I'm zooming out so you can kind of see the consolidation, right? So you'll see like some type of consolidation in these areas, but they're not that strong, right? They're not, you know, they're not the best areas. It's already been tested once too, so wow, yeah. Yeah, this kind of goes back to how I'm feeling about DOT. I think there are better assets to long. if you had gun to your head, you have to place bids, I would place bids down here because I don't want it if it's anywhere up here because I think there are other assets to buy. So I would only long it at like 12.50, 13, 14 bucks. Yeah, so that's probably my take on that because you know, you shouldn't be too desperate to long shit that is underperforming, right? I would rather be desperate to long shit like Matic that, you know, yeah, like when we were talking about it earlier, I think it's up like 3%, and with, I mean, it pushed up to like 225, but you know, yeah, so you know, you'd rather be long the stronger assets, you know, given that, like, assuming that you get good entries on everything, you'd want to be in the asset that is outperforming everything else. Badger, I don't think is like the best play, but if you know, like, let's say you need Badger to, like, disclaimer, I have no idea what the fuck Badger does, but let's say you're in Badger and you need it because, you know, you're on Uniswap and it you know, you need Badger for Uniswap or something, then cool, more power to you. Or if it's like an investment kind of thing where you think it's currently undervalued but it will mark up in the future, go for it. But that's a different trade than what we're talking about here. So okay, that's Badger. Okay, so I have a couple more before we get to Avax. 1 inch. Okay, 1 inch. 1 inch looks like, again, kind of have to default back to the dot thing. Better DeFi assets to long. And probably why you're seeing 1 inch not do well is because Uniswap is outperforming it, BSC PancakeSwap is outperforming it. I'm pretty sure like the Solana DEX is probably gonna outperform it. So market is just kind of pricing that in. I would bid down here, so like 370 all the way up to like 450, and I would be very liberal with this, as in I would go very far down, as in I'm not trying to be aggressive with this, you know, just I'll take the bottom, like I'll take 370, as in like, I guess if you give me this optimal insanely good bottom tier entry, I guess I will take it. But if it's not that, I don't fucking want it. Okay, that's kind of my take on 1 inch, because fundamentals ironically do matter now because normies and other people say they do, right? Before it didn't matter, like, you know, a lot of things didn't matter in a bear market. It didn't matter that Matic was, you know, a cent or whatever at the time, you know, or that Doge was like a quarter of a cent. So yeah, fundamentals suddenly matter a lot more, and yeah. Let's see, Serum. Oh yeah, that's the FTX DEX. Sorry, I didn't mean Solana DEX. I meant the FTX DEX, and that's Serum. I'm stupid. All right, and right on cue. So notice this versus the 1 inch chart, right? Where you're seeing, oh, like 1 inch was like right here, okay? And there's a huge difference between laggards and just coins that just straight up just don't show any strength, okay? I want to say that 1 inch isn't a laggard and it's actually just weak, because fundamentally speaking, and you can view that on, you just go in their decks and you can figure out liquidities, you can figure out how much, you know, TVL is locked in, whatever. You can look at what projects are thriving, what platform are they on, etc. So Serum doesn't look too bad here. I would personally bid around this area, somewhere in this candle would probably be good. So I mean, I guess it's here, but again, it's at the top, right? Which goes to show you that the optimal entry right? You don't get that for very long. Like this was probably here for, let's see how long. Let's go to 1 minute. So the optimal entry, this area, you had it for like three, 4. Let's be generous and round up. You had that for 5 minutes. Okay, so this is like the entry where you're like, wow, I'm super safe. I'm up 4%, and it's like, if it goes down from here, it's gonna go down a lot lower. So, okay, cool. Then you can get out, whatever, right? So that's what I mean when I say you want optimal entries that you would feel comfortable sitting on. If you got in at 860, right? Yeah, you're not really underwater much. You just have like your toes dipped in the pool, but it's uncomfy, right? Like you don't want to go to sleep on it because like you don't really know what could happen, right? So it's one of those things where if you're buying dips and you're catching knives, essentially, you want to catch the knife that's the dullest, right? Like you want to test your luck. Like you don't want to catch the knife that's fucking like incredibly sharp. Like you're aiming to be the lucky guy that catches the knife, gets cut, but it's a dull knife and it's not a deep cut. Like that's what you're aiming for, okay? So yeah, Serum, I would go somewhere down here. So that is for the people who are not on stream, 740 to like $8, which is still like 10% away. So okay, next is Theta. And I don't know how long I've been going, but oh my god, I've been going for an hour and a half. Holy shit. Okay. Theta. Yeah, doesn't look good. Looks like it's just staircasing down, Again, you can always do this, where, all right, looks like we formed a base, right? And probably is going to mark up. If you were long this, you'd probably get out around 690 or so, right? You can anticipate a failure and probably put some bids at 862. This would be the very aggressive ones, and this would be the lucky ones, right? And then this would be, we're fucking dead, okay? So I would put this up here, but look, if we go from 910 to 380, we're fucked, okay? The market's fucked. You don't even want to long. Just bull market's over. Wrap it up. Let's just start shorting shit. Okay, so key areas. That's what it looks like on the daily. So again, for people not on stream, 860s, not a bad area. 690 to 750 would be the ideal entry. And then if we tap like 390, either Theta is fucked or the entire market is fucked. But I would still bid it because even if the market's fucked, you'll still get some type of response here, I hope. Unless you get like March 12th again, where it just whoop, all the way down, no such thing as support. Next up is Ray. And I know that's on FTX, so I'll go ahead and, okay. God, I fucking hate Ray so much. So, oops. Kind of disappointing, right? Where it made an all-time high, broke the all-time highs right here, and then just kind of consolidated here before nuking down. I wouldn't necessarily look to short, but there's a good chance that we just probably test these lows again. And reminds me of when Chainlink broke all-time highs, where it broke back down and reversed like the up move. Albeit this one's a lot closer, where it broke all-time highs and it literally just sat on the all-time highs. It didn't even it didn't do this. It didn't do, right? It literally sat there, and now we're trading back in the range. And that's why I'm kind of bearish on this. I'm going to have to default to what I said about DOT and the other shit coins. There might be better alts that you can long instead of Ray. So things like Solana, Serum, stuff like that might be better options. Okay. Now Avax, which is the last one, because if I keep doing this, I'm just gonna be here all night and I'm not gonna be able to buy any dips. So, okay. Avax still looks like, okay, let me explain something. So, let's hop to the 12-hour. Cool. All right, so we talked about basing a lot today because that's one of the key things that you want to look at. You know, if you're trading alts, you want to make sure that there's some type of foundation that will act as support, right? One touch of an area is not necessarily your best bet for support. It's not where, you know, you'd see it and you're like, yo, I fucking have to buy this area. No, like you kind of want the support that on high time frames has been built up before, tested, and shown that it works. And albeit you might not get the same response as the initial bounce, you should see some type of respect towards that level. Okay, so again, base is formed. Same thing we said about reaccumulation earlier, right? Base is formed, taps the bottom of it, reverses. That's how reaccumulation should be, where prices got reaccumulated, buyers bought, and now it goes up because buyers are buying, right? Pretty simple. This just looks like consolidation right here. Doesn't look, you know, you can call it chop or whatever, but when you zoom out to like the 12 hours or something like that, this just looks like consolidation. So either, honestly, you can probably buy it around this area right here. Again, DeFi coins looking a lot stronger than the other coins. So, oops, sorry. So you can, you know, I think this is not a bad area to buy. I like Avax personally, and I know that there's a lot of different, I guess, projects coming out of it and a lot of development going on. So I think it's one of those coins that, you know, will eventually mark up to the upside. So like that, right? Maybe not from here, but yeah. And these are my optimal areas to bid. Okay, as in like if we fucking get some gigantic nuke, because this happens a lot, where you get some type of bull pennant, right, and you sucker in a lot of buying, and then it jukes to the downside, breaks the pattern, and then flies to the upside. That happens a lot. So keep watch for that. That is obviously your ideal entry, right, all the way down here. But aggressive entries right here. And cool. Oh, I know some of you aren't in the stream. Let me verbalize the levels. So Avax, that's $34, is the aggressive entry. And for the more optimal, like, oh, I bought this here and I can probably hold for the next like week or two at least, is like 21 to like $25. You could probably get away with that. But yeah, so that's gonna be it for this market roundup. Hopefully that was enough. I think I got through most, because I think I think I got through most of the DeFi stuff. But yeah, and if you see anything that's asked before Avax by H2E ATI, I've already charted, and this is recorded right now, so it's gonna get uploaded and you guys can rewatch and just skip through. Yeah, so anyway, I'm gonna close it right here so that I can upload it immediately. So I'm gonna stop recording.